She warned him once. He didn't listen. And in seconds, Grace Jones attacked the interviewer, shocking the entire studio.
Hold on.
She was a singer. She was an actress. She was a model. She was a walking piece of art. She was Grace Jones, but behind that powerful persona, there was a woman who lived a life full of pain, rebellion, and extraordinary transformation. This is the story of Grace Jones, the woman who refused to be ordinary. Grace Beverly Jones was born in 1948 in Jamaica, but not the glamorous beaches we see in movies. She grew up under a strict religious household, a place where long skirts were mandatory, makeup was a sin, and dancing was considered the devil's work. She once said, "I was raised by the kind of people who would have burned me as a witch." Her step-grandfather was a Pentecostal preacher, known for harsh discipline. Grace later revealed that she was beaten if she even smiled wrong. This is important, because everything Grace became later, the wild outfits, the shocking performances, the androgynous style, was her counterattack against that oppressive childhood. She wasn't just dressing weird, she was fighting back. At age 13, Grace moved to New York. You'd imagine a beautiful immigrant girl being welcomed with open arms, right? Wrong. She was bullied for her accent, rejected for her dark skin, and called too skinny and too black for the beauty standards of the 1960s. But Grace didn't break. Instead, she said, "If I can't be accepted, I will become impossible to ignore." This is where her transformation truly began. She joined theater, learned acting, and developed confidence.
Grab him! And take him!
She became the opposite of everything her childhood wanted her to be. In the early 70s, Grace got signed by Wilhelmina Models, but agents still didn't know what to do with her. She was not like other models. She had a square jaw, shaved eyebrows, and an intimidating stare. Designers said, "She is too weird. She doesn't look feminine. She's too dark." But French photographers loved her. So Grace did something bold. She moved to Paris. And that changed everything. Paris didn't just accept her. They worshipped her. She walked for Yves Saint Laurent, Kenzo, and Azzedine Alaïa. Karl Lagerfeld called her a dream for fashion. She became best friends with Giorgio Armani and Naomi Campbell. One magazine described her as the woman who looks like a sculpture carved from obsidian. Grace wasn't just modeling clothes. She was creating an aesthetic. She became the symbol of androgyny, blending masculine and feminine into one. Her flat-top haircut, bold shoulders, sharp jawline, all became part of her visual identity. Even today you see this style everywhere. From Rihanna to Doja Cat, Grace did it first. Studio 54, the most infamous nightclub in history, where celebrities, drag queens, rock stars, and billionaires partied together. Grace Jones wasn't just a guest there. She was the queen of Studio 54. She performed wearing nothing but body paint and a panther on a leash. She entered the club riding a white horse. She once slapped a talk show host on live TV because he interrupted her. Her reputation? Unpredictable, electrifying, untouchable. Andy Warhol photographed her constantly. People said, if Grace Jones walked into a room, the party officially began. Grace Jones didn't want to just be looked at. She wanted to be heard. In 1977, she released her first album. Her music was a mix of disco, reggae, punk, new wave, and art pop. First, she wasn't taken seriously. Critics said her voice was flat and too deep.
She was 17.
But she kept going. Then came Pull Up to the Bumper and Slave to the Rhythm. These songs became global hits. The music videos? Avant-garde, strange, iconic. Grace wore outfits that looked like living sculptures. And this was the twist. She didn't just sing. She performed art. Many pop stars today build personas: Lady Gaga, Beyoncé, Rihanna. Grace Jones did it first. In the 80s, Hollywood called. Grace starred in Conan the Destroyer alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger, and in A View to a Kill, becoming one of the most unforgettable Bond villains in history. She didn't just act like a villain. She looked like one fierce, powerful, unshakable.
Grab him! And take him!
James Bond villains were usually men. But Grace Jones didn't care about rules. She became the exception. Grace Jones was not drama-free. She once slapped a journalist live on TV. She attacked Russell Hardy on his own show for ignoring her. She walked out of concerts mid-performance. She cursed out record labels. But journalists later admitted, she never pretended to be polite. She was always 100% real. Grace once said, "If people don't talk about me, I feel like I don't exist." And oh, people talked. Most people don't know this. But Grace Jones was one of the first artists to control her image completely. She was not a puppet of record labels. She decided her album covers. She designed her stage looks. She co-created her photoshoot concepts. She built a brand before the word even existed. Her collaboration with visual artist Jean-Paul Gaultier became legendary. He didn't soften her looks. He exaggerated them, making her a living art piece. Today, every influencer talks about branding. Grace Jones invented it without even knowing it. You may not realize it, but modern music looks like Grace Jones. Lady Gaga's theatrical costumes, Rihanna's powerful androgynous fashion, Doja Cat shaving her eyebrows and performing covered in paint. All of it is Grace Jones energy. Even Beyoncé's stage imagery in her Renaissance tour borrowed from Grace's 80s visuals. And Grace has no problem calling people out. In one interview she said, "I don't see originality anymore. I see Grace Jones Jr." No lies detected. Grace's love life was wild. She dated photographer Jean-Paul Gaultier. She had a relationship with Swedish actor Dolph Lundgren, who was her bodyguard first. Yet, Grace Jones dated a bodyguard who later became an action star. She also had a son, Paolo. People always asked her, "Grace, why aren't you more feminine? Why don't you soften yourself?" She answered, "I am not masculine or feminine. I am Grace." Grace Jones wasn't just shocking for attention. She broke rules no one even questioned at the time. A black woman couldn't be a high fashion model. She became one. A deep-voiced singer couldn't sell records. She sold millions. Women couldn't play villains. She became a legendary one. Pop stars needed to be polite. She slapped talk show hosts. Grace showed the world that different is powerful, and being feared is sometimes better than being liked. Even today, Grace Jones performs on stage wearing outrageous outfits, dancing with hula hoops at 70+ years old. She still commands respect. She still owns the room. In 2023, Rihanna invited her to appear at a fashion event and said, "She is the blueprint. Everything we do, Grace did before us." Grace Jones is more than a singer, model, or actress. She is an idea. The idea that a woman can be dark-skinned, loud, unfeminine, intimidating, and still become iconic. She once said, "I will never be a slave to expectations. I create myself piece by piece." And she did. Grace Jones didn't just live in history. She changed it.